Hey guys, all right, here is our last how-to video of how to do effects or textures in 3 different ways that you can apply to your band poster or whatever art you're making. I've got 3 demonstrations to do here. One that is using the effects window that is up here, and that's going to give you a raster effect of your piece. Another one that is going to be a transparency use that also is going to be raster. That's this transparency window. And then you're also going to show you an image trace version, which will give you a vector texture. Remember, raster is pixelized, vector is lines and curves. So when you zoom into this vector texture, you're not going to see all those pixels. Whereas if you were to zoom into this texture here, you do see all these pixels when you really zoom in there. So you want to be careful of what you use and how you're going to be using it so that you get the right effects and the right, the right results. Okay, so first off, I'm going to try to do this with as simple as possible descriptions here. I am going to move off to the side here, these pre-done examples. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just make a copy. This spinning wheel may happen to you if you're using a Chromebook, because using some of these effects are bigger files and they're going to use up a lot of your memory. So please use them sparingly. All right. With these 3, I will start fresh. I'm just going to give myself some blank circles here to use. All right, so effect option. If you click on your shape, you have to first select it. Then you're going to go up to this window that says effect. So let me move this over a little bit. And you have 2 choices here. One is Illustrator effects, one is Photoshop effects. Really what that means is vector, raster. We are going to use these photo effects. These are the ones that give you the just different textures. And then we're going to open up the effect gallery. And you can see here, when you open it up, it gives you all these choices, a pop-up window, and it gives you all these choices of things that you can do to your shape. Some of them don't look like they really do much at all, especially with the solid color, but other ones you can see that there are effects happening there. And you can also play with the grain of it, and where, like, the intensity of it. Lots of choices here. You can play with that to make it work for you. This one's a good one, works really well. Sponge is also a good one that works really well. But some of them do have some issues, like this one here, rough pastel, or if you were going to go down to texture here and use the stained glass, you see these white chunks on the edge. Same thing what happens here, this white edge. Once you apply this, so I'll say, okay, you can see when you look at it from afar, it looks okay. But when you zoom in, you will see that those white chunks are still there. And it is now pixelized, so it's all raster. So maybe not the best for something that you're going to be seeing large, because you're going to see all those pixels, right? But that is how it works. And you just have to be careful which effect you pick. Okay, moving on. Next one, transparency window. So that's this window right here. You're going to go up to window transparency to get that to pop open. And if you want to put a transparency on that shape, what you have to do is you have to first have a Google image or an image of any kind. So I did a search of rocks. I'm going to change that and do a search of tree bark. That'll give us a nice effect. And I'm just going to pick this one. Remember, you cannot pull from these thumbnails. You're going to get a small resolution image. You want to have a high resolution image. So you want to pick from the one that pops up over here. And again, you can just push Control click or right click on the image and copy the image from there. Then you can come back over here to your screen, your Illustrator screen, and then Command V to paste. Command C to copy, Command V as in victory to paste. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And Now, all we have to do is put the image on top of the shape. Okay, I'm going to make a copy of this shape first, so I have a backup, and I'll show you why in a second. So again, I'm going to put the image on top of the shape, and then I need to select both shapes. So I'm just dragging a select bar over both. I'm using my black arrow, or you could push Shift and click both images, or you could come over here in your layers and you could select the layers that you want to select. So I could select this one here and hold Shift and click that one there. So either way, it works. I'm going to use this method. So I cover the entire shape, select them both, and then in your transparency window, you're just going to say make mask. And there you go. You can see there is a texture there now. If I release that, I do have some choices here of how I want to make a mask. And I also have the option to invert the mask as well. Now, you can see this best when it's applied over another shape. So that's why I made this copy. Make it a different color so you can see it, and I'm going to pull it behind. Where are you? Oh, here, it's way down there. There we go. Pull it behind this shape, and now you can really see that texture on top of it. And again, if I select it, I can play with different ways that it's going to make that transparency window. But the thing is, it is still a raster image. So if I zoom in, you see it is still pixelized. But it works really good for effects when you're kind of far away from the image. Okay, so again, the image has to be on top of the shape in order to apply and make that mask. Last one, image trace vector. So again, I am going to grab that image of the tree bark and place it here. And what I'm going to do next, this is the only way I can do a vector texture. Okay, I'm going to take this bark and I am going to open up my image trace window. Again, go to window and image trace and open that. Okay, and there we have image trace, and I'm going to leave it as black and white because that's default, and I am going to say ignore white here, and I'm going to play with, here we go. I like that threshold much better, and push trace to actually apply it. The next thing you need to do is you're going to push expand up here, because if you look right now at this layer in your layers, it's still just an image traced. It's still not actual vector shapes. So we need to expand this shape. So I push expand up here, and now you can see if you go in here, everything is an individual shape with all kinds of anchors and all that craziness. And if you look in your layers, you have all, over here, you have all of these individual little shapes now. So it can get out of control very quickly. So be careful. And also does take up a lot of the memory. Now, if I wanted to take this texture and put it on top, I could play with the opacity of it. That would be fine. And it looks really nice there. But if I wanted to clip this to the edges of the shape, what I would need to do is flip this so that the shape is on top of the image. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy of this, move it down. All right, and I'm going to put this on top. I need to move my layer order here. So I'm going to move this thing here. There we go. So now the image is on top of, or the shape is on top of the image. Okay. Now I grab them both and I say object, clipping mask, make. And you see what just happened. It clipped the edges of that pattern. So now it is the same exact size as that original shape was. So it almost ends up exactly like this transparency raster version, except for that it is now vector and it is clipped to the shape. So those are the 3 ways you can do that. Have fun, and I can't wait to see your band posters.